Sabrina Carpenter has had the entire world talk about her these past few weeks, very much thanks to this photo. People are trying to discuss online, as you can see right here. This is like Twitter's in flames. Big publications are making these whole ass articles trying to figure out if this is like treading on women and hurting them, or if this is empowering women because she's doing whatever she wants as a girl should. The answer is neither. Everybody was tricked. Everybody was tricked. Everybody fell for this simplest fucking bit of controversy marketing, and everybody's talking about it like this wasn't fucking intentional to get people to talk about it. And in this video, I'm gonna expose other tricks because her label is actually really good. Like, whatever team's working with her is really good at doing all this stuff to literally manipulate people into thinking about Sabrina, talking about Sabrina, and of course listening to her music, because that's the whole reason this whole machine is working and it's happening. And if you are a smaller artist, you need to know what these big labels are doing and these games these big people are playing. Because even if you're small, but you can play on a big label, yeah, you don't have the label budgets. Yeah, you don't have the machine, the team working behind you. But if you know what they're doing, you can at least just do the same thing, even by yourself. Even if only like one or two people are helping you out. You can do everything she's doing. So that's why today I'm exposing all her tricks to get people to talk about her and promote her newest album. And we're gonna start right with the biggest one, the most important one by far, and the hardest, the most difficult to do, is they rebranded her. Sabrina Carpenter used to look like just an average teen before this. I don't actually have a picture on the Miro board, like go look her up. She was just an average teen until they rebranded her into this 60s girl. The artist's branding needs to be consistent. And we're gonna see here that she is consistent as fuck. Her consistency is very, very strong. The team is like excellent at keeping her consistent. But also, no other pop star, no other person in Hollywood has taken on the 60s colorful girl aesthetic like she straight came off a little pinup poster. This didn't exist. Finding a gap, finding a niche like this takes usually a whole team of marketers, designers, and stylists, and all the such helping this one person out. But if you want to do this and you know your branding is suffering, and if you want to play this game on a big level, you need to click the link below, join the WAP community. I used to work on a big label, Soyuz Music. I literally broke down how our artist development team used to do this for people, so you can replace this big ass label team and just brand yourself properly yourself. And I'll help you out. If you get stuck, you can ask me questions. You get direct access to me in the chat. You can ask me any questions you want. So just hop in there, join the program below, and get yourself this first step at least. But if you're doing this on your own, of course, the first thing is to see a gap in the market and figure out what doesn't exist yet. Then what they did is, since they figured out, okay, so 60s is kind of cool, it's colorful, feminism was kind of coming up during the 60s, girls were showing more skin, they were empowering themselves, a lot of these movements were happening. And of course, the 60s is a very vibrant, pleasant time. People tend to think about it with this kind of reminiscent of kind of a golden age almost, until in the 90s, everything started falling apart. Literally, the 60s, 70s, 80s are associated with a very bright and good time. And by packaging her into this timeline when everything was good, beautiful, and colorful, they kind of associate those feelings with her. So she is beautiful and colorful and cute and quirky and, a little bit sexual. Like, you can see that bum. They know what they're doing, okay? And consistent branding is really the pillar of how everything else is built on top of this. Every other marketing trick is built on top of them branding her right. And this, unironically, this must have taken them ages to refine. Because, of course, first they need to get a mood board together. Then they need to get a stylist. They obviously had like one, maybe two, or even three stylists just looking at these mood boards, looking at everything and trying to pick out the clothes and the right image for her. And once that's been done, her entire marketing, her entire persona, her entire visual vibe was fit into this one little consistent box of a 60s girl. Arguably 80s girl, but kind of a 60s girl. They packaged her entire persona into this one little ball of consistency, which everybody needs. Like every artist needs to have this, because if she just looked average, plain, and forgettable, none of these other tricks would have worked. And so the biggest trick by far they pulled on you is by making her into what she is today, because it's not her. It's not her. This is a team of people, a professional effort, making her look and feel like this, making her take this aesthetic and this almost vibe in a way which she herself probably never thought about. And this is without hate to the artist. She's still great. She's still charismatic. Sabrina Carpenter's awesome. But there's a big, big, big team working behind this, and you need to know exactly what they're doing so you don't fall behind in this game. Because whether you like it or not, you do compete with Sabrina, especially if you're a female artist, okay? So the next trick they used is they actually know her target audience very, very well. So they're mostly girls, females, aged between 18 and 24, with over 75% of her listeners being girls. So they're clearly targeting a female demographic with this. They're clearly targeting this kind of, mostly female audience, mostly younger female audience, not kids, not children, aged 18 to 24. So she can get a little bit sexy. She can get a little bit provocative with her marketing, because none of this is aimed at kids. This is aimed at young adults. So aiming at young adults gave her this freedom which she wouldn't have if she was targeting children at all, okay? And then, knowing this and branding her right, they started doing a bunch of really evil shit that you can copy and also do yourself to the best of your ability to try and replicate this effect. First and foremost, with the release of a few of her tracks, they plastered her on literally every brand collaboration that is physical. So notice this. This is called priming in the marketing world. And I'm about to break down exactly what they did, okay? So take a look at this. One of her things was called espresso. And she launched an espresso with Dunkin' Donuts. So now every time you go to Dunkin' Donuts, you think of Sabrina, whether you want to or not, because she's there. And every time you drink an espresso, or even think of an espresso, you think of Sabrina, because she kind of claimed that word and that vibe. Every time you drink an espresso, you think of Sabrina. You think of her album, you think of her music. It ties a physical, tangible object that you can feel, look at, and drink to the music. Priming is a huge fucking trick and very, very undervalued, because a lot of artists these days, they live in the digital world. We market ourselves on the internet. But by attaching yourself to something physical that people can do and think about in their everyday life, you are planting yourself into their head rent-free. Every time they think of this trigger, every time they think of a fucking coffee, they're gonna think of Sabrina. Especially since they can go and drink a coffee at Dunkin' Donuts with her official collab. This also, at the same time, this is two birds with one stone, literally. This also, at the same time, gives her raw exposure. So for fans and people who know about Sabrina, they're being primed into like associating her with espresso and these other things that we're gonna look at. But if a person doesn't know who Sabrina is, let's say they've never seen her in her life, They go to Dunkin' Donuts and they see her and they're like, who the fuck is Sabrina? And now they know about her. Boom. They are being driven into this pipeline of fans and of people knowing about her through actual physical products and collaborations. So this red can, pretty sure it's some hair care, okay? Every time a person is now doing their hair care, especially if they use this brand, they're gonna think of Sabrina because she's endorsing this brand. She's on their photo shoots. She's on their promotional material. They're plastering her name everywhere. So every time somebody goes to do hair care, boom, Sabrina's in their head. Literally on their head and in their head. Fucking Prada. Prada lipstick. Person is using lipstick. We know that the target audience is girls. Notice she's not collabing with any brands that would be like Star Wars. She's not doing fucking lightsabers for dudes. She's doing all of this stuff for girls. Hair care, Skims, espressos. What fucking dude drinks an espresso? Maybe someone does. I'm pretty sure guys just drink coffee, you know? They don't fucking know what it's called. This is clearly targeted at the target audience. That's why it's called the target audience. And also notice, so Skims, a lot of people, huge brand, buy Skims. They think of Sabrina Carpenter when they wear it. Kim Kardashian and Sabrina. They use Prada. They think about Prada. They use lipstick. They think of Sabrina. People, these are not the only brands she's collabing with. This priming trick actually runs through ton of brand collaborations. I only listed down a few. This list is huge. They're ramming her and sticking her onto everything. Literally everything that a girl this age would maybe potentially use, because they want every girl this age in the universe to know and like Sabrina Carpenter. This is a psychological, this is literally a fucking psyop. I don't have a tinfoil hat. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. This is just exactly what's happening. And notice how throughout her entire marketing material, her colors, baby blue, hot pink, her hot blonde, her like kind of 60s retro aesthetic is still being plastered onto everything. Her brand is still consistent across all these brand collaborations. And your brand can't even be consistent through a few fucking Instagram photos. So you need to work on that shit and work on that shit first, because none of this would happen if that trick didn't work and wasn't done properly. And finally, they're actually doing the good old controversy. After plastering Sabrina onto everything, after making you think of her when you drink coffee, use lipstick, go to Dunkin' Donuts, use a hair care product, see a magazine, after you're doing all this stuff and you're thinking about Sabrina, they're sprinkling, they're literally soul-baying fucking controversy on top of it, which is the part people notice, because that's the icing on the cake. But people tend to ignore this fucking 90% of the iceberg, and then they just see this part. They're rage baiting you and the audience and literally everybody so fucking hard. And all of this is so intentional. Like, she's gonna make you come with a little love heart. You think they don't know what they're doing? They know exactly what they're doing. Should you be advertising that, you know, a girl is gonna make random people come? Should you not? Is this feminism? Is this anti-feminist? Is this good? Is this bad? Is sexuality, like, should it be explored? Should it be contained? This is a massive discussion Twitter is having, everybody's having right as we speak. And of course, on top of that, they also have this photo where she's being held by the hair, and some people, a lot of like people are just screaming at her like, oh, Sabrina Carpenter is embarrassing women. And then she's coming out saying, oh, no, this is empowering women because, you know, I'm doing what I want. I'm a girl. I do what I want. Who the hell's going to tell me what to do, you know? Women do what they want. That she is adding fucking oil to the fire by literally coming out and just talking against what the majority of people are saying. Her label team sees the sentiment because they created it. This was done purposefully. You're being psyoped into talking about this. I've been psyoped into talking about this because I'm making this video. But I just want you to copy this shit. I want you to be controversial. I want you to trigger feminists. I want you to trigger, like, people's views and debates about sexuality. I want you to trigger something in people. Attach yourself to a fucking coffee. Attach yourself to a milkshake. Attach yourself to their Wi-Fi. If you heard, this is a little bit of a tangent, but if you know about Hatsune Miku, you know the meme about Hatsune Miku living in your Wi-Fi. So every time you think about Wi-Fi, you think about Hatsune Miku. You're being primed by everybody and everything on purpose. And you need to start priming other people, because if you're not, you're missing the fuck out. You need to know your target audience like this. You need to know them super well. And this doesn't come from your stats of, like, looking at your Spotify. This comes from intentionally targeting a specific demographic after you've done market demographic research. You don't just look a certain way because you like dressing like this. You look a certain way because nobody else in your niche looks like this. You look a certain way because you want to portray a specific vibe and a specific feeling. And when people think about the 60s, for example, they need to think of you. You need to do all this stuff. And if you're bad at it and you don't know how to do it, or if you're struggling, then join the link below, the WAP community. I'll never get tired of talking about it. This is the primary type of work we do in there. Nailing your branding, nailing your aesthetic. I'll also recommend you what type of content to do based on what branding and what path you chose to go down. I'll also help you do your market demographic research. So you target these people specifically and on purpose. You try to appeal to a certain demographic, because if you try to appeal to everybody, you're not appealing to anyone at all. Of course, I'll help you prime people. I'll help you roll out your projects. I'll help you do all this stuff. If you're not doing this, you're missing out. You're losing to her. You're literally losing to Sabrina Carpenter. And you can go and so you can say, oh, but she has all this help. Sure, she does. Or you can go and you can actually do the same shit she's doing and achieve the same results. Choice is yours, really. It's up to you. You can make excuses, or you can just go and fucking copy it. With that, if you liked this video and you found it informative, you're definitely gonna enjoy watching this one next. And if you kind of feel like you're struggling and you need help with this stuff, just go join the link below. If you go in there and you don't like it, you can just request a refund. I'll give you your money back. No sweat, okay? So do yourself a favor. Go join down below. You're not gonna regret.